Somebody
at Starbucks is gonna fucking swipe that barcode and be like, these motherfuckers, dude.
Probably. So I never know how to start these shits. So welcome to those listening again. So we're doing part now. Oh, Eric is here with us again.
Hi.
Ruben's here as well. So it's essentially almost like part 2, but because I had to split the other one into 2 videos, technically, whatever, part 3. But so if you haven't listened to those, I'll link those all down below. So go and those are like primers for the rest of this. So go listen to those. Told you. Fucking told you. I fucking told you.
Right, this fucking guy again.
Every time. I'm telling you.
10:30.
Luckily, it doesn't always pick it up
fails.
or whatever. It does a good job of not picking it up. But anyways.
I didn't get his job.
I don't know, dude. I think I would do good at that,
right?
Though.
Just meet up with your other friends who do that. Just race.
And you know what's also interesting about this is that you know who I ran into last night?
Who?
Take a fucking guess, dude.
Somebody from class?
No.
This guy?
No. Come on. Last weekend, we were out here. This dude fucking Steven Stumbly.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
The dude that was like, seems like he was high just standing there.
Yeah. Well, I think I told you about that. How
you took him to get water.
I took him to get water, and he didn't sound so fucking
together.
Like, well, he didn't. He sounded like pretty coherent when he actually spoke. Like I could tell. I'm like, well, you don't sound like you're that fucked up on drugs or nothing like that. Like, think you're just dizzy. But I went to get some tall boys last night. I pull up to the gas station. The second I get out of my truck, this dude's walking by my truck.
No way.
I swear, dude. I look at him like. He didn't even recognize me.
Oh, fuck. He probably was high.
He looked even worse now.
Oh, jeez.
Like, he definitely looked fucked
up.
Yeah,
he probably was. He just... Because I would remember, I would assume a guy that took me to get, like, water.
Dude, as out of it as he was, because he did have the cotton ball on his arm with the
okay,
tape.
hold on. Ruben doesn't know that he told you that he got out of the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's not like he had a cotton ball.
But there's a hospital. There's an ER.
There's right there. We see it right here.
Yeah, right there. And so, like, I could see him standing over there in that planter with the tape on his arm.
Right.
And so I was like, well, no heroin addict's going to have a cotton ball with tape on their arm. Like, they're just going to go raw.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Squirting out of his arm as he's talking to you, as he's getting in your car.
Take it from your arm into my arm.
Ugh.
But yeah, like, just, I don't know. I've been around a lot of drug addicts and alcoholics and people who are fucked up for a long, long time. And you can just kind of tell when people are really fucked up.
Yeah.
And, like, just the way he could enunciate words, like, he can put them together. He just seemed like, I don't know, I was in the hospital for 3 days, and he's like, I just feel really dizzy. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to take you somewhere. It's a good Samaritan to me.
That was nice of you, though. Like, I bet you that doesn't happen a lot. Most people would just let that dude go.
And I got to be me, you know what I mean?
Right.
I can't.
Well, you and I had the discussion earlier about off podcast about how, like, we hesitate. I do it all the time too. Like, we hesitate to give money to people who beg you for money because we assume they want it for bad things.
Well, beggars, yeah, but when I just like feel like I should do something, when I question my own like integrity for that, like that's what bothers me. People begging, you know, fuck you.
I have a hard time when I see young people that are doing it because I think that. So a lot of those people, like the ones I told you about that are kind of down the street, I have a hard time because I'm like, man, you're a young guy. You look healthy.
When you're a drug addict, though,
nah,
dude, that's on you.
Yeah. Well, no, I think I see some people though that do it because they're doing it for money. Like they make good money doing it, probably.
And that's like that. That's one of those things that really bothers me because there's people out there that have just been hit hard by life, you know what I mean, that legitimately just need help, and they won't ask for it. They got too much pride. They're you know what I mean? If I saw somebody out there with a sign that said, we'll work for food.
Yeah, that's very different.
When the fuck was the last time you saw somebody holding up that sign? Now it's like we've embraced this...
Free, everybody
I'm just looking for beers and joints, and you know what I mean? People are like, you're honest, I'll give you some money.
Dude, you've seen those, right? Like, you've seen the signs where, like, I'm just looking to get, like, a beer or whatever. Like, there's signs where, like,
not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I bet you can't hit me with a quarter.
I'm like, wow.
You know, like, but we've, like, embraced that. But somebody who's just, like, willing to work, they're just, you know, everyone wants to throw trash or fucking quarters or whatever at these people and be like, get a job. Well, kind of hard to get a job when you smell like fucking you've been hiding in the dumpster for the last 3 months. Your hair's mangy. I mean, there's not a lot of jobs that are going to just give you a chance. You're either a convict, a drug addict, mentally fucked up. Like, well, you got some issues that people don't want baggage with.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. But to get back on topic, because we are trying to keep this within an hour. So last time we talked, you were like in basic training. You had just gotten signed up. You had gone through. How was boot camp? Because you said you were signing up for the SEALs program. So did you go through the regular boot camp?
Yeah. They like I said last time, they've kind of changed it to where they put all those guys together now and send them through boot camp. But I went through just regular boot camp. Honestly, like, dude, boot camp is not fucking hard. It's hard for like a week, just mentally, just readjusting to that kind of environment.
What's difficult, like physically demanding, or
No.
just the routine of getting up early and?
I don't know. It depends. Like, it depends. When I was going into something, I'm like, this is nothing. Like, if this is hard for people, like, there's no way in hell they would stand even a second, like where we're trying to go.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're in the mindset to get into some kind of special program where there's just relentless. I mean, if that's hard for you, I mean, yeah, a lot of things are hard, but it's where you got to kind of just suck it up and realize, like,
get through it.
Like I said, it's for about a week. That was the hardest part. Maybe like 3 or 4 days. It's just really like the initial shock. Like, oh shit, I'm on it. Like, all of a sudden, I was standing in the recruiter's office the last time Mom and Dad were there. It was one of the few things my dad showed up for. And next thing I know, all right, I'm out. Love you guys. I'll see you when I see you.
So do they tell you, hey, bring this with you, or pack underwear?
Really, no, because you basically, when you show up, you stand in a line with 100 other dudes. They put you in a room. You're standing in front of like a little cubby, so to speak. So they put everybody in kind of single file rows. Like, so you have a row, I don't know, what, 20, 30 guys, and then another row, 20, 30 guys or whatever. And then, like, each person has like their own little shelf with a like little cubby, and it's all got like items. You literally strip down butt naked, throw all your shit in a box, write the address on it, and they fucking mail that shit home. The only thing you're allowed to keep with you is like your wallet. Maybe nowadays, we didn't have phones when I was in there. Some people did, but they're like, nope, send that shit home. Everything. The only
So
thing,
you're like naked with a whole bunch of 30 people in there, just?
yeah, it's all dudes.
Okay.
But yeah, you're standing there butt naked, fucking hand over your weenie.
So
Just
what was I gonna ask you? So like, is that when you're in basic training or going through, all the training shit? Like, are you guys doing group showers? Do you have showers?
oh yeah, yeah.
Giant
Yeah, there's
shower?
no like it's like for I don't know, I can't like I said, I can't speak for everybody.
But for the Navy.
Well, even the Navy, just where I was at in the barracks I was at, everything's going to be subjected to like whatever environment you're in. So there's multiple types of barracks. There are barracks that were some probably 30, 40 years old. They were kind of phasing them out with new barracks that they had built. So I can't really give you insight to what was going on inside those barracks, but it's all kind of the same. Like, have you seen Full Metal Jacket?
I don't think I have. The only thing I'm picture of is like Starship Troopers.
Oh,
They all
yeah,
had giant,
like
but
that.
that was like a co-ed shower.
Oh man. So it's kind of, well, there are co-ed like divisions that go through boot camp in the Navy, and I think so in the Army. I don't know. The Marine Corps, I think they definitely segregate them. But they have like co-ed divisions, except all the girls sleep in like one separate room down the hall with like female instructors, and then all the guys stay in like a separate.
One giant room.
Yeah, just with bunk beds. Looks like some shit from what do you call it? Heaven's Gate, like a mass suicide convention.
Jeez. So
You got 100 dudes sleeping in a room. Maybe more, maybe over 100 guys. I honestly couldn't tell you.
So you talked about watching the most amount of porn in the military that you ever had in your life. So these jerking off in like this rooms.
It's a little different because in boot camp, like, you're not allowed. There's no what you call contraband. Like, when you go to that place I was telling you about, and you're standing in, like, you're checking in items. You're given like a sheet with items on it, and you have to check everything on that. You have to make sure it's in there, and then you throw it in a bag they give you. So like a sea bag, a big green duffel bag. So like 2 pairs of this brand of underwear you have to go through and say, well, what size do you need? And then you'll hold up like a card or however you can logistically plan for trying to get that many guys, all this gear, and get them the fuck out. So I can't really remember exactly what was going on. Sometimes we'd hold up like a card or something, and then like a worker would come by and hand out like a whatever size underwear we needed.
How many you get?
I think it's like eight pairs.
You got to do your own laundry?
No, they had laundry services. We'd have to send it all out, but we would have to like march around the barracks at laundry on Sundays. Every Sunday was like laundry day, and what they call it. There's a fucking name for it. It's basically like the day off, but it's not a day off. So like if you wanted to go to church, like they had a church and a mosque and a fucking whatever the Jewish one is, a temple. You could go to those religious services. Like,
interesting.
So it was. There's a name for it, and I cannot remember it for the life of me, of course. But so Sunday's kind of like the rest day, so to speak. But you still go to chow. It's just kind of like a little bit easier of a day where you hang out in the barracks for the most part, and if you want to, like I said, from like 6 in the morning to like noon is when they let people go to like the services for church and stuff like that. I went once or twice with a Catholic friend. It's the first time I've ever been to like a Catholic mass.
So there's like a different like building or room for each religion?
Like they have like a legitimate church, and one. I honestly, I think that like at the church there may have been a place in there where if you wanted to go practice Judaism, they call them. God, dude, I can't think of shit.
Like, I know what you mean, though. I get it. Because it doesn't make sense for them to have, like, one building for Catholics and one building for Christians and one Catholic for Muslims and one Catholic for...
It just kind of depends logistically how they want to do it. I'm trying to think. There's a religious person that they're officers. A chaplain. That's what they're called, chaplains. They're officers, but they're priests of whatever faith that they represent.
Interesting.
It is.
Yeah, like I was talking, it's one thing that people don't think about, and I was talking to a friend of mine about this, how like even within the military there are like the jobs that you see out here in the real world are also within the military. So you could sign up to be like a laundry guy in the military, that all you do is like the laundry for the barracks or whatever.
Kind of, yeah. Like when I was on the ships, that's what they're called, supply. But they have like supply would be broke down into different subcategories, like what supply do you supply, you know? So some guys would do laundry. We fixed the fucking washing machines. That's what we did. We fixed everything basically that wasn't main engines. So we were what's called auxiliary, which was everything from fucking conveyor belt toasters to
So do you guys like pull up manuals, or do you just figure it out as you go along?
Yeah, there's we ain't got shit for tools. I mean, that's like I'm going to a tech school right now, and they're talking about like when I get done, I'm supposed to have $5,000-$10,000 of the tools. You know what I mean? Shit, tools are expensive, especially when you buy like name brand, top of the line tools,
like Snap-on tools. And
oh, they're ridiculous, dude. And it's like
good quality, but insanely expensive.
Yeah, but I never used power tools in my fucking life until I've never really used power tools. Carpentry I did, but in the Navy I used fucking channel locks, crescent wrench.
Really? I would think they would spend some money on that stuff.
You would think, man. There's a lot of, we did have some tools, ratchets, wrenches, but
no power tools?
Oh, fuck no, dude. Fuck no.
Huh.
I wish.
So, do you have any questions? You're kind of quiet there. You're crashing on me. You good?
It looks like he's having a blood sugar crash. Tired.
I'm a little bit tired. Getting there.
I got some beer in the truck. Want a beer?
No.
Might help you out.
So, in basic training, so we talked about like there's sometimes females in basic training. Like, is it frowned upon for like a male and female interaction, or maybe male and male, whatever, to like occur?
Boot camp, it's a little difficult. Like in the Navy is one thing, but like in boot camp, it's very monitored, very, very fast paced. Like you don't really have time to do that, and they're pretty much. Like I said, they might have co-ed divisions, but for the most part, they're pretty segregated as far as like once guys and girls kind of separate, like they're kind of doing their own thing. So there's always a possibility for some type of fornication to take place, but as far as anything else, like it's just too kind of fast paced. Everybody's really out of it, and plus none of those girls wear makeup. I mean, you're literally, I mean, you're doing like a 30 to 60 second shower every day.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like when you go in, so for us, it was like shit. It's roughly around 100 guys, let's say, and they'd split you into half. So half the guys would go shower. Well, you had two posts in there that had like shower heads around them. So there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 shower heads per post, and like 30 to 50 guys or whatever are trying to shower on that at one time. It gets pretty.
Because you have something else coming up and you need to be in and out real quick?
Are
you timed or what?
Well, that's kind of the deal. They just want to stress you out and make your life uncomfortable. There's a motto. Hurry up and wait. We gotta rush.
Wait.
Yeah,
like
rush to get somewhere, and then you fucking sit somewhere for an hour.
I like that. It's like a mental conditioning. It's like you're looking to stress you out by hurrying you the fuck up, and then also just fucking with you with the concept of making you wait.
There's
which is a frustration involved with like, fuck, you just made me hurry up to take this shower. I could have taken a better shower, but now you're making me fucking wait here. It's a interesting mind fuck.
Yeah. That's what they do. It's pretty much universal for all branches of service. I can't really speak for the Air Force, as they call them the chair force.
Because they're more pampered, right?
Yeah, but honestly, it seems like they take the best care of their dudes and people. You know what I mean? Like they're.
The worst is what? The Marines, probably?
Depends on what you're talking about, yeah. But I think I don't know. It really depends, dude. There's all kinds of demoralization going on in the Army and the Navy and the Marine Corps. I personally, I'm not one. I've never been one for like inter-service rivalries. Like I know it exists. People are like, "Oh, this guy was in the fucking Marine Corps," and like they'll make some. I'm like, "Fuck you."
But you guys interact, right? Like if you're stationed out like here, for example, like there's in this what am I thinking of?
Luke Air Force Base.
Yeah, but what is Air Force Base? So if you're stationed at this Air Force Base, there's like Air Force people. There's probably Marines. There's probably Navy guys.
There could be, just depending. There's everything just depends on kind of what is going on and what they're doing. I mean, they may land Navy planes there for whatever reason. They may land Army aircraft or Marine Corps aircraft there. So I mean, it's not uncommon to see other branches of service on any other branches of service base. It's just kind of like what is going on. Like what, I mean, you wouldn't see, it's not like they would outnumber anybody, you know what I mean? But it's not uncommon to see anybody from another branch of service on some other branches. Some people just go there just to use facilities.
Right.
You know what I mean? Gyms or whatever. Like they have called commissaries or, exchanges, which are like fucking stores. They call them exchanges in the Navy, in the Marine Corps.
Is stuff cheaper in there than it is outside?
It's not taxed.
Oh.
So I don't know how to. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't.
It's similar price, but you're not paying tax, kind of thing. So
kinda, but you're not getting paid shit anyway. So
interesting. So you said you served on a boat before, right?
2 boats.
How was it being on a boat?
In my personal experience, it was fucking horrible.
I mean, it's got to be a mind fuck to not be able to get out. How big is the boat?
Both of them are considered small boys, so like 500 feet long.
Does the size you feel like make a difference if you were on a big air carrier?
It depends. Carriers have like, I think nowadays they have like 6,000 plus people on them. They're floating cities. I mean, they got like, I've heard they got Starbucks on them and McDonald's.
Wow.
They got, I mean, they're huge, dude. And you could literally not see the same people day in and day out. Whereas on the small boys I was on, there's like 300 people, 350 people. It's like being kind of like in high school again. You see everybody after like so long and not being pulling in and getting off the boat. Like everybody just starts getting in each other's hair.
Yeah.
It's just like, leave me the fuck alone.
Do they have females on that kind of situation in the boats?
The first one I was on was co-ed. Which is funny because it's like a giant fuck fest. Everybody's fucking everybody.
That's what I was gonna ask. I'm like, I wonder how it works if it's like limited females or if it's like a decent amount of females.
No, it's pretty evened out. I mean, there were obviously.
So there's like dudes trying to fight for like one chick.
It's pretty funny, man. I mean, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was very focused on like career, kind of like what I wanted to do in the Navy, and I was like, I'm not letting any of you fucking people ruin my opportunity, ruin my chances, because I'll fucking kill myself if I gotta fucking live with you people for the next 4 years.
Yeah, well, you committed to something, so you didn't want it to kind of take part or affect it.
Yeah, it's just it's tough, and but you see all kinds of drama. I've always hated drama, and just there's all kinds of drama. People are fucking everybody. It's like you got two married people who are obviously they're both married, maybe even have children, but they're on deployment together, so they're gonna fuck each other. And it's like, I saw a lot of
But sorry for interrupting you. But you said before, like that's frowned upon in the military. Like they can kind of punish you for what is it called? When you it's in the Bible when you
fornication, adultery.
Adultery.
I mean, technically, you're not supposed to be fucking them anyway. So you have, like, there's different levels that they can fuck you at. And so one of them is, like, fraternization. I'm sure it exists in the workplace as well, you know what I mean? Where, like, your boss isn't supposed to be fucking coworkers.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you know it happens.
Right.
It happens all the time, all over the country, everywhere. And so basically, like, in the military, there's, like, a pay grade wise, so like E1, you have like E1 to E9. E1s to like E3s or 4s are like kind of like mingled together, and all the E5 and aboves aren't really supposed to be like fraternizing with them. And there definitely is a level which was like E7 and above was not supposed to fraternize with like E6 and below. So
how do you know what everybody is? Is it just based on rank?
You wear rank, you wear rank insignia. And it just becomes second nature. You look at it and tell immediately like what somebody is, and you know because they're your boss. So the fraternization thing is really frowned upon. So like officers and enlisted aren't supposed to fraternize at all. And I couldn't tell you what officer fraternization rules are, but officers and enlisted aren't supposed to fraternize. And then like E7 and above aren't supposed to fraternize with E6 and below. But does it happen?
I was going to say it has to happen.
Oh, yeah, dude. On my second boat, we actually got our chief kicked off, like unintentionally. He was fucking this officer. And I said, dude, this is a crew. And like, so my second boat, to answer your one question, it was all male. But there were like 10 female officers.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, you can imagine how that went.
They got their pick of dick every week.
Or every day. Or whatever. I'm like, I don't know.
Wow.
There's all kinds of rumors float around, and I just try not to listen to the rumor mill. And a couple of them were actually good-looking women. You know what I mean? So I'm sure.
He's like, damn. The rest of them were
well, out of 10, you know? Like, there was one, I'm trying to think, we had a name for her. She was fucking haggard, dude. She was like an older woman. She looked like she had like the voice where it sounded like she smoked a pack of cigarettes and drank Monsters all day. I found a pair of shitty panties on the deck once. Like we found them outside, and judging by the size, there were only like 2 of these women that could have been wearing these. They looked like they were very, very small panties that looked they were bloody and shitty, and it's pretty funny. Yeah. Like,
so what? Like you found them? Like somebody left them there?
Yeah, they were underneath the boat. Like we had like 2 like they're called rescue boats or like service boats, I guess. So we have 2 boats and skids up on the boat.
And so what, you assume somebody came up there and was fucking around, and then
I don't know what happened. I think there's certain drafts, so ships get pressurized from intake and exhaust ventilation. Mm-hmm. So certain doors that you open, like they may like if you go to close them, they may suck shut because of intake and exhaust ventilation and overpressurizations of certain spaces. And the opposite happens on some doors, depending on whatever other doors are open, and just like what's called like positive or negative ventilation to excess pressure or the absence of pressure in a space from exhaust and intake ventilation. So some doors, when you open them, they'll like fly open.
You get smacked by them?
Kinda, and you can, yeah. Wow. Some of those doors open hard. And then you have like exhaust from equipment and motors and stuff running. So like there's big exhaust fans on the side. It's not from like the actual ship's exhaust, but just there's all kinds of equipment running. So it could be from like a secondary piece of equipment or something, but like there's like a draft, like an exhaust blowing out. So I think what kind of happened was possibly there was like somebody had an accident and then like just went to fling them over the side and they caught one of them exhaust things and just fling them back right on the side.
Oh, jeez.
Or some shit got crazy, dude. You know, someone's just trying to have a good time and it went bad for them. But it was definitely interesting because there's all kinds of, like I said, rumors and scandal.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so like
men, women in like a small confine like that, I'm sure. So in the boats, do they have co-ed showers, or is it still like you got private showers by that point?
Yeah, it's kind of private. It's like I don't know. I'll show you a picture. I'll look for a picture on my phone, right? So we live in what's called berthing, and there's like 60 to 80 guys that live in in triple bunk beds, and very, very confined space. I got staph infection on my second boat because
dude, that's one thing that made me hesitant to join class for the longest time was staph. I was like, dude, I'm not trying to get staph or
you just got to keep clean,
ringworm.
Dude. You should be good as long as you go home and clean out cuts. If you get cuts, take them serious.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Ugh.
No, you don't want staph, dude. It's fucking bad, bro.
No.
I'd rather have ringworm if I had to choose.
I'm trying to have none of that shit.
I'm not
always
trying to have
long
none of it. It's like which STD do you want? Like if you had to choose, you know.
That's why I'm always like long sleeves, long compression pants. I'm not trying to fuck with none of that stuff.
But really, honestly, I don't know if that's gonna help.
Really?
Staph is weird, dude. It is weird.
Which is a scary one. MRSA. MRSA is a fucking scary one.
Yeah, because it stands for like antibiotic resistance.
Yeah, so you can't get rid of it basically.
You can get rid of it, but it's tough.
Yeah.
And like the problem with staph is like any other type of infection. Like so, if you get pneumonia, if you get staph, you're just susceptible to getting it again or other things. Easy. But we got, 3 dudes in my barracks, like all in a week, got staph, just from basically the shitters were backing up every day, like bad. Like I got pictures I could show you and you'd be like, oh my fucking God, that is disgusting. And like there's guys that their job is take care of it. And again, obviously if your job is to work on shitter systems, you're not going to be too pumped about life. And you're not going to really want to do your job that often.
Right.
But at the same time, I've always been a big advocate. Just do your fucking job. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything else. Do what's required of you. You know what I mean?
You gotta do it sooner or later. I mean, you got to do it sooner or later. So I might just get it over with.
Yeah, some people would rather do it later. I mean, I live with some nasty motherfuckers, dude. Nasty.
Ugh.
Nasty. Like, we had one guy come on board, and he got there a few months after I got there. I had to deal with this guy for almost 2 fucking years. I fucking hated this dude for the longest period of time. I still kind of don't. He's just, I don't know, he's a piece of shit. It looked like he had Down syndrome, so everybody felt bad for him. And he legitimately looked like he had Down syndrome. If I show you a picture of this guy, you'd be like, wow, he does look like he has Down syndrome.
Jeez.
So there is kind of this like, oh man, I gotta take it easy on him. But you know what? It's the fucking military, dude. You don't like it, get the fuck out. And like they've created this like, this, I don't know what the fucking word is. They've created this public image and this political correctness shit where people think that everybody has a right to be in the military. Like, you don't have a fucking right. It's the goddamn military. Your property. You know?
Okay, so that brings a good segue. What are your thoughts on like this Trump thing where he's banning transgenders?
Well, again, my thoughts and opinions are fucking irrelevant. They don't really mean anything.
No, but we're interviewing you, so we're getting your thoughts on shit.
I think, like I said, it's an organization that's what they do. They discriminate. They tell people, you're too fat, fuck off. You're too short, fuck off. You're too stupid, fuck off.
They're basically Fight Club, right?
What's up?
They're basically Fight Club, right?
I mean, there's some pussies in the military, but yeah. I mean, but it's an organization that's dependent on on discrimination. You have to fit. If you have flat feet, buy. If your knees are fucked, buy. So if you have some kind of like emotional, mental issues where you're unsure of who or what you are, like everybody's a person, you know what I mean? And like everybody has a right to life. Everybody has a right to happiness or a pursuit of it. Everybody has, we've created a travesty out of this equality shit. You know what I mean? And it kind of upsets me because where are certain people going to say, oh, this person is essential for mission readiness. We need them in our fucking organization. It's not a goddamn right.
So playing devil's advocate here. So earlier we talked about the situation how like in any military you have jobs that are non what's the word I'm looking for? Non-fighting. What is the word I'm looking for? Non-combat.
Pogues. They're called pogues.
Is that okay? So like let's say
personnel other than grunt. Yeah.
So like let's say you're like you want to be in the military, but you want to be the Starbucks guy at the military. So like, do you feel that person shouldn't be in the military because they're going to go through a gender change? Again,
it's more about like, look, I'll be the first to tell you the United States government wastes tons of fucking money and resources. With that being said, the military is supposed to be a smooth running machine.
And you feel that affects it?
I don't know if it affects it, but I know there's a fucking huge quantity of people in the military that I think the whole subject is very like taboo. It's very kind of it's just.
I think it's also new, right?
Sure, but it's like one of those subjects where you can't really talk about it because basically what happens is one of those subjects where you talk about it. Somebody gets upset and all of a sudden you're the fucking asshole and they're the liberating oppressed people and everybody wants to be a hero in this culture we live in anymore. And it's like, I mean, look how many fucking videos people like breaking windows on cars because somebody left their dog in the fucking car and it's like, oh my god, you're the biggest asshole in the world if you left your dog. And it's like, did you know, like, this person may have been inside for like 5 minutes.
See, I don't know, man. If it's 125 here,
sure,
and a fucking dog's in there with the off car, I might fucking break a window.
I think you're missing the point of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
though.
the
it's
sensitivity,
like,
everybody's sensitivity.
Just somebody wants to do it because they want to be the one who did it.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Like it's
they don't care that the dog's in there. They just want the recognition.
Yeah, and I think I said that last time about how like I met a bunch of people in the military, and after I've been in, I've noticed firefighters, EMTs, nurses, police. We've created like this image in society where like anyone who's a public servant is now a fucking hero.
Yeah.
And you get all kinds of people that they don't want to do the job. They want to put on this uniform and walk around in public and let people slap them on the back and say, "Oh, thank you for doing the job you do." And it gives them some form of like self-worth or
they just want to be the hero without doing the work for it.
I mean, I was in college in my psychology class and there was this lady. She's nice, I'm not really trying to talk shit about her, but she made it apparent every time that she would raise her hand to answer a question, not that it has any fucking relevance with the question, but she would like look at the class and always say, "As you know, I'm a veteran. As you know, I'm a veteran." And I'm like sitting behind this bitch, never once saying, I don't have veteran plates on my truck. I never will. I'm never gonna wear a veteran hat. Like I'm not this dude that goes out seeking. I didn't do shit. When I was in my uniform, I hated wearing my uniform in public, honestly, because I don't like people coming up to me. I didn't do shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People were like, come up to me like when I'm in airports and they'd be, "Thank you for your service." And I'm like, I serve fucking potatoes. The fuck you talking about? My service. I'm going to go thank a guy who's missing his fucking legs. Like, I didn't do shit. And it's kind of like everyone's a hero if they're in the military. You know what? Like, I'm not the only person who thinks this way either. But
I get your point of view definitely because I definitely understand.
I just hate fucking phonies. You know what I mean? And there's a lot
do you
of
think it's
phonies
phony?
anymore.
Do you think that's phony? Like somebody saying thank you for your service?
I don't think that's phony. I think masquerading around in your uniform just to get slaps on the fucking back.
Well, you see that a lot, right? Like guys that try to pull up chicks and they're always just in their uniforms because they that works.
It might
or cops.
work.
Cops, that happens all the time. Chicks love cops, so they'll stay in their uniform and shit.
Yeah, they might like them, but they're also fucking assholes.
Oh, no, well, they need to learn that lesson one way or another.
Yeah, it's just the whole. I hate charades, dude. I hate phoniness. If you want to do something, it goes back to that subject I was telling you about. Like, did the first fucking woman who joined the Navy or the military do it because she wanted to do it for the military? Did she really want to be a part of the organization, or was she trying to do something for herself?
Right, or to be like the first girl, like to be the name that associated with the first woman, kind of thing.
And to me, it's like, I don't know. You either want to do it because you want to be a fucking part of this, or you don't.
Right, I agree.
And it's just, like I said, I can't stand the charade of it, and I see it in firefighters, I see it in cops, I see it in fucking nurses.
I see it in cops a lot. I see it in firefighters less, because a lot of times, like, you don't know they're a firefighter unless they're like pulling you out of a building, you know. And nurses, I don't see it a lot unless they're like, oh, I'm a nurse, like. But I don't run into that too much.
No, but I think like people get into things with the wrong intention until they experience it. I was going to CrossFit with this chick. There was a shooting back home in Carson, and you know, I'm sure it's a fucking rough time, dude. But what did you think you're getting into? You know what I mean? Like, she was a cop for like 1.5 years, 2 years. After one incident, she's like, oh, I got to get out. Like, it's just too hard for me. But yeah, she wants to get these custom-made shoes that say Law Dog on the side. I'm like, you're not a fucking Law Dog. You're done. You're throwing in the towel. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's, man, like.
Again, this is the charade aspect of it.
I get that. Like, to me, it's just like, dude, you and that's one I can't excuse, because you're right. I mean, as a woman, you gotta know that as a cop, you're gonna put yourself in those dangerous situations, possibly on an everyday basis. Like, why are you surprised at that situation?
I don't know. I think it's just, again, glamorization from Hollywood and TV and all this. It's just, we glamorize things, games.
Yeah.
We just glamorize things. And like what I was going to say, like, I'm not the only person that thinks this. If you sign up to do a job that's fucking dangerous, like be a cop or firefighter or get in the military, it doesn't even have to be a combatant roles, but if it's just a dangerous job and you know that it's dangerous, you're not a fucking hero because you did your job. You're a hero.
That's exactly what I've always fucking said.
They're not, like, that's the thing.
They always go on the news, they're like, oh, this cop's a hero, he saved a
that's
person.
His fucking job.
That's his fucking job.
You know how many times, you know, I heard this a lot. I don't know how many times you guys have heard this, but if you didn't like your job, quit.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not trying to take anything away from those guys that did something great, because that is.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, I've never saved anybody out of a burning building. But also, that's not my job to do that. So I don't want praise when it's my job.
I'm the kind of person where unless you either fucking died or you fucking you suffered tremendous loss for doing what you did, that's the whole of going above and beyond. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Aren't we praising these people because they could have quite easily, instead of helping somebody, they could have just ran the opposite way?
Not if it's their job.
No, that's their job.
You don't sign up for that, dude.
Yeah, but how many times do we run into people who talk big and say they're going to do all this shit, but they just don't? Like the guy that wouldn't clean the toilets. That same guy was not a fucking hero, but he also wasn't like a performing his job. He could have easily just been like, I'm going to put it off to tomorrow.
No, but that's what, like, we've just given these terms. Like, we've given terms to everyone in the military is a hero. Every firefighter is a hero.
I get that point,
and honestly, the biggest heroes I've ever met in my entire life, and I've met some fucking heroes, they all say the same shit. I'm not a hero. They're not looking for recognition.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think a lot of those honorable dudes probably aren't looking, or girls aren't looking for the praise. But I would be glad to, like, tell somebody thank you for your service, because I know I didn't do it. Do you know what I mean?
I think there's, you know, I guess I could understand that, but at the same time, like,
because essentially, if despite the fact that we do go to war for some dumb shit, right, and probably for the wrong reasons,
do you think you're trash, man, for doing shit that you wouldn't do? because that's what I got to a point.
I don't ever run into my trash can, but maybe I would.
But that's kind of how I started seeing it at some point. I'm like, people want to thank you for doing something they wouldn't do themselves. Thank you for scrubbing my fucking shitter. I just fucking blew it out and it looks like an 18-wheeler locked it up. But hey, thanks, man. You know, I appreciate you went in there brushing that bowl hard. You know, I appreciate you taking out the trash.
I don't know. I guess my philosophy at times is that, like, although somebody's getting paid to do something, like, they don't have to do something. And sometimes they don't have to go, like, quote unquote, above and beyond, whatever
Nobody
that means
has
for
to
the job.
do shit ever.
Right. But that's my point.
My dad and mom used to tell me something. I'm probably gonna sound like a racist if we're saying this, but he said, I don't have to do shit except stay white and die. And the truth is, that's exactly the truth. Like, I don't have to do fucking anything. I didn't have to give that fucking fuckhead a ride over to Denny's to get some water. I did it because I was brought up to be a human being, you know what I mean? And try to help my fellow man, even though I hate most of these motherfuckers on a daily basis.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter what any person's fucking color or creed is. Like, I was brought up, like, if somebody needs help, like, really needs help, and not like, oh, you need help moving that fucking table. Like, if you see somebody in distress and needs help, fucking help them.
Right, yeah. But in a slight similar vein, I mean, wouldn't a thank you be appropriate from that guy because you did go above and beyond? I mean,
sure, a thank you from him would be. A thank you from you coming out of left field, out of nowhere. Like, that was really nice what you did to him. Thank you for that. Like, it's kind of...
That would be kind of douchey.
Yeah,
it's just like... Okay, I mean, I'm glad that you took the time and appreciated there are other good people out there, but that dude didn't even tell me fucking thank you.
He was just too high, dog. He meant to.
Oh, yeah, he meant well. I went and got him a bottle of water, you know. He's still alive. I saw him, so.
All right, so another question I have for you. So you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier. Like, you talked about, like, how was the word I'm looking for? I can't fucking think of it. So basically, the government doing a really bad job of managing the money they spend in the military. So let's talk about that.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about that one.
So you saw situations in which, like, the government was just throwing away money, just not in a literal sense, but like in a figurative.
Literally. Like, maybe they weren't taking fucking pallets of fucking cash, pushing over the side, but yeah. Dude, the government wastes so much money. There's documentaries on this shit too about, like, their spending is just out of control. For instance, every single part we ordered. So, like, are you familiar with what a GSA catalog is?
No.
So if you look up, like, a parts, and it doesn't matter what kind of parts, tools, whatever, there'll be a little box down in the corner. It'll say, in a blue box, it'll say GSA. That means that they're, like, contracted or licensed or whatever to contract with the government, sell the government products at 3 times the price. But we'd order parts and tools, and my, like, work center supervisor or whatever, he's like, hey, check this out, because I'm always like, none of this makes sense, and so, for instance, like, we were ordering something, and he's like, so look over here in this section of, like, where you fill out, like, order forms and stuff. It gives you price listing. It'll give you, like, the price for, like, civilians, and then it will give you the price for GSA contracts. And everything that was GSA contracted or billeted or whatever was 2 to 3 times the price. So, for instance, he points to this valve that was like a $4,000 or $5,000 brass valve. He said, this is what you would pay for it in the civilian sector. He said, but because we're the government, if we need to order this valve, it's like $19,000, $16,000, whatever the price was. And I'm like, this is insane. And I'm looking at all of the items on this page, and all of them, there's the civilian price and then the GSA price, which is literally 2 to 3 times the price. My mom was telling me today, she does bookkeeping and stuff, but she said for, like, Medicaid, once you're like 65 and you get on Medicaid, that basically the doctors and hospitals or whatever you go see, they bill the government for 3 times the price of services, and hoping the government will give them kind of whatever the government gives them. So it's really interesting because they do get.
Why does that make sense? So, I mean, isn't the whole idea of, because here in like the normal world, if you make if I make a contract with like Starbucks and I'm like, yo, dog, we'll make a contract because I'm going to give you a certain amount of business, you're going to give me a discount. Like, that's the way it works. Why would you pay more? Why not just pay the civilian price?
Well, this is kind of where like thinking cynically. You have to start thinking cynically. In fact, are you familiar with the band The Offspring?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
If you go through and listen to Dexter's, like, if you read a lot of his lyrics, you'll be like, wow. And there's one of his songs where he talks about, like, you have to start thinking cynically for things to start making sense. Because they don't make sense. Because you're right. Shouldn't we do things to be conservative and save money?
Right.
But that's not how it works. It's the thing of why you would think that the government would want less people dependents, right? You would think that they would want less dependents, but they don't, because it creates more government. The more people on welfare, the more people on social services, the more shit the government has to provide for, the bigger and bigger they have to be to do it.
So they tax more. Is that
tax,
the idea?
well, this is like you're talking a machine. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to explain. I'm not the guy to do this the best, but it does start to make sense when you look at, like, well, if the government has to provide all of these services and all of this shit for all these people, I was going to say, you want to move this over there, or?
Yeah, I think we're good for now unless it starts pouring, and then we'll have to move over.
They have to, in order for them to provide all that stuff, they have to keep growing. The government has to keep growing. They have to keep providing government employees. That's why, I mean, I've heard this as a kid, get a government job. The government jobs are great.
Yeah,
of course government jobs are great. And you know who isn't bitching about people with government jobs? People that work in government jobs, because they're making fucking big salaries. They got good insurance. And
pensions and all that stuff.
I mean, this is how you slowly roll this country into fucking
debt,
communism, essentially. Complete government control of everything, and that's where we're at. That's where we're going to keep going. It's not going to stop. So yeah, I mean, there were times on my both deployments, dude, where we were throwing, dude, out of my first deployment. So after President Obama got elected the first time, ammo was gone, dude. And also at his re-election, ammo up and fucking disappeared. Now, I don't know how much you guys shoot. I'm a big fucking gun dude. I'm a shooter. I love fucking shooting. It's my hobby. And I'll tell you what, dude, the second he officially became president, ammo was fucking gone. I mean, so what happens? Supply and demand. When ammo starts going away, the demand goes up. Guess what that does to the price? The prices get fucking skyrocketing, dude. And you're talking cases of fucking ammo being $500 fucking for 1,000 rounds of 223, maybe more in some cases. And ammo was gone. Ridiculous prices, if you could find it. So what happened? I'm on deployment, and I'm watching these cats just bailing fucking cans of ammo over the side. Whole pallets of ammo. We're just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? I mean, they're dropping cans of 100 round 50 cal linked ammo. It's like $10 a bullet at the time in the civilian sector. Just
so even more expensive in the military sector.
Maybe that might be the one thing they get at cost or something, because they're the biggest purchaser of it, obviously. But I mean, dude, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in ammo just being dumped over the side, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, give me some of that shit. They're like, we can't do that, man. Can't. If something happens. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I could definitely have found a place to put 6 cans of fucking 308 and 223, you know what I mean? Like, that's not even that much space, but that's a lot of ammo and a lot of money. Just over the side, and I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, we have to, the budget's coming up, so we have to exhaust all funds.
So that brings up a question. This might be more along the lines of like conspiracy theory, but how often, or do you think this happens, and how often do you think this happens? The idea that, like, just like we threw away this ammo, How often do you think it's like, oh, all these guns just disappeared, and all of a sudden some dude's like doing some backhanded deal with somebody else and being like, I'll sell you all these guns that I just happened to get a hold of?
It's actually happens quite a bit. Now, I can't say guns disappear in the military because they are kind of regulated. They are inventoried.
But ammo could easier.
Yeah, but you got to realize, dude, the United States is the biggest arms some of the biggest arms manufacturers in the world live here. And now, this is no way shitting on the Second Amendment, but you should watch Lord of War. They tell you a lot about what's going on. And it's like, people think that movies are jokes. Like, no, they may stretch some things in different directions and lie or make up names and stuff like that. But, dude, they've been doing some shady business for decades. The CIA has been involved in some shady fucking shit for decades. I mean, there's people, that's what they're called, the criminals in action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's human nature. Like you and I have had that discussion where
well, I mean, think about, like, even on the show, Sons of Anarchy. Look about how corrupted it got towards the end. Like, these dudes were the cartel and they were the CIA and they were both.
Spoilers.
There's dozens and dozens of books. Go over to Barnes & Noble. There's dozens of books written about this subject. I've met dudes that were in the SEAL teams. I met dudes that were in the Army. And I met dudes that were in the Marine Corps that were all had some really interesting stories. Like, last time I was back home, before I came down here, I was talking with these two dudes that were both in the Marine Corps. And they said on their last deployment, these guys from, like, that's what they were doing. Like, they go out and fucking patrol and hit Taliban caches. They get intel and find out where these guys are and where their ammo and weapons are. And the fucking CIA came in and they're like, oh, we need to take all these weapons back. Blah blah blah. We're gonna take them. Like, okay. Come to find out, they're giving them fucking back to the Taliban.
Ugh.
And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Because they need this war. Like, it's a business. People don't want to believe that shit. But it's a fucking business. There's documentaries that you can watch about how, like, you ever heard of Halliburton?
Yeah, they're a, what are they?
Engineering company, like the biggest engineering firm in the world. Who do you think gets all the contracts after the United States bombs the fucking shit out of any goddamn country?
That's what I've heard from them. Yeah, they're the ones that go in and fix things, right?
Yeah, but like infrastructure-wise.
Right. But like, I think there was a connection by one of the big
Dick Cheney.
Yeah, he was like somehow associated with Halliburton.
He was like the president of Halliburton,
and
then he became
like
the vice president.
Right?
It's not, dude. I mean, you get to stuff that becomes like, how many coincidences can there be before it's just not a fucking coincidence?
Right.
And if it looks like shit and smells like shit,
probably is shit.
If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, like.
And that's the kind of disappointing thing about the way the U.S. media has changed. Like, back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, we would reward whistleblowers and we would try to say, you did a great job by finding this thing out. But now it's the government is definitely controlling the media. And so these are things you don't ever hear about. Like, you don't ever hear about how Dick Cheney's connected to Halliburton, and Halliburton's like the guys that are coming out and fixing the shit that we just blew up.
It's because, well, there's probably lots of reasons why, but dude, it's because the American people are so fucking dumbed down. What we've done is we've fucking bashed anybody that has any kind of objective thinking, anybody who can question the establishment, anybody who can question anything, really. Right. Well, you belittle them, and then you start getting groups of people that say, oh, this guy's a fucking one of those people, and then they point and laugh. Yeah. It's like we've created adults that are fucking completely childish, and like they won't entertain the idea of maybe something's true. Right. Just for a second. You don't have to believe it. And I heard a lot of that when I was in Buds, like, and in and around that community. Take things with a grain of salt. Take things with a grain of salt. All the time. That was like kind of one of their mottos. I always heard it. Take things with a grain of salt. I didn't even know what the fuck it meant at the time. Like, I take a lot of salt in the mouth from the fucking ocean. Shit's fucked up. I'm drowning out here. What are you guys talking about? Take things with a grain of salt. And just, you hear guys constantly like, look, you don't have to believe anybody or anything, but entertain it for a moment. think about it. Let the marble roll around in there, you know? Put something as like another tool for your tool belt. Like, think about shit. Question shit. It's okay. Like, it doesn't make you a terrorist just to question authority. But we've created people that, oh, you shouldn't question authority. And that's what they're trying to do.
Right. I agree. So do you feel like guys, especially guys like doing like actually active, fucking word I'm looking for again? You're actually fighting? Active, combative guys. Do you feel like those guys have a different viewpoint, like are more disingenuous, not disingenuous, more just kind of pent up because they see kind of the cogs of the wheel and they kind of potentially see that there's some fuckery about?
That's a good question. It really is. And it's not the easiest to answer because I do meet guys that do definitely kind of see what's going on sometimes. But then also, vets are some of the hardest fucking guys to get to believe that a lot of this conspiracy stuff is true. Because it goes back to the denial thing that people just, I don't know, man. I could look you in the fucking face and say, I didn't do fucking shit. I don't want to say I wasted, but essentially I had years of my life taken from me and I didn't get much in return other than, you know, up here, insight. I definitely didn't do any of the things that I really wanted to do. So the denial thing, a lot of people just, especially if they have combat under their belt and have witnessed horrible things and lost friends, because they don't, like, they have to hold on to that. Like, they don't want to think of their friends dying for nothing.
Right.
Even my uncle, like me and my uncle, he's from Vietnam War, and he's got some fucking gnarly stories. He's got a Purple Heart combat action ribbon. Dude's a fucking took one for the team, literally, you know what I mean? And it's just like me and him will talk about this stuff and he'll like agree how fucking corrupt, all kinds of conspiracy stuff, but like it's just at the same time, like you can't take away what he did. And Vietnam vets got shit on hard, dude. Harder than anybody can even realize. I mean, we never even won that war.
Right. So the only one that we don't really talk about much. Like, I remember in history class, like
it wasn't even a war for 10 years.
No, it wasn't a war for 10 years.
Yeah.
There for a long ass time.
It was a conflict.
Yeah.
And they don't want to. And this is where like you try to talk, even to people that are fucking teachers in school now, and they're like they don't get it. They're like, huh? I've met people that are younger than me that are teaching kids, and they're fucking just like, I don't know, man. I've got to really kind of.
But you can't blame the teachers, right? Like the teachers
I've
learning.
I worked with teachers for 4 years before I came down here. I worked at an elementary school, and I got along great with everybody. I got along great with everybody because we didn't talk about politics and we didn't talk about religion.
Right.
Because you know what? Those are, to my opinion, those will be the death of man. Because dogma, political and religious dogma will continue to fucking, because what you believe isn't what I believe. Mm-hmm. The truth that you see isn't going to be the truth that I see. You know what I mean? We can sit here, everybody's arguing about what color blue the sky is. You know what I mean? It's like, we'll all agree it's blue, but what color exactly?
What shade are we looking at? Yeah.
And like, it's just bickering and babbling and just constant fucking, just divide and conquer. But I also realize that like there's a very kind of similar mindset amongst most teachers, and that's what kind of bothers me about
what?
About
history, about
just they all like, not all, but that will fucking sit here and tell you, read these books. Oh, totalitarian fucking governments murdered millions of their own people. Yet we keep insisting that more government is what we need to fix these problems. And it's like, it's an oxymoron. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of that, though, at least I feel, is they're just regurgitating the thing they learned.
Of course they are.
And so it's just a circle of reasoning that you're just kind of going back and forth with over and over and over, and you're reteaching the same bullshit that you learned as a kid. You know what I mean? It's not. Nobody's
They're still
questioning
teaching these fucking kids this watered down Pilgrim and Indians bullshit.
Right.
I'm watching kids on stage with paper fucking shit on, hey, dressed as turkeys and fucking pilgrims, and I'm like, is this ever gonna stop? Like, I think we were talking about it last time. How like Thanksgiving has become like the biggest gluttony.
Yeah.
It's like it's not even like way to fucking be thankful. Look at everybody, just the grocery stores. I mean, and then the next day, Black Friday.
Another gluttony, right?
Yeah.
Another
gluttony
level.
of but it's
Spending.
still gluttony.
Yeah.
People are in there stampeding over each other for fucking sales on television sets.
I do that shit every year. I don't buy anything. I just do it for to
You just
watch.
go out?
just to experience the hecticness.
Do you really?
I swear to you, I get excited about it.
No, I guess I go to Walmart for the same reason.
I just sit there and I'm like, we go into the thick of things and we don't even want anything. We're just like, we're just here to fucking watch the animals turn back into animals once a year.
Yeah, I think I still got a picture on my phone. It's something similar. It's like somebody at like a riot or some shit, a protest. Or like, I'm not here for shit. I'm just here for the violence.
Yeah, man. So when you were in the military, what was it? Just Obama?
Bush at first.
Bush at first. So do you feel that the military had a different feel with one guy versus the other? One was liked more than the other? Was there any feelings at all towards that?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that more people kind of liked Bush. Even though, I honestly, I'll admit I did at the time. Even though when I look back at that, I'm like, he's a fucking moron. But it's where I've realized that they're just there to point fingers at. And
It's
I
like
think
a face, right, at this point?
yeah.
Yeah, weird alien face.
I'm trying to think, dude. So for 8 years, once Obama got elected, okay, I watched for 8 years as like one side, like all these, I call them, people on the right or whatever. They're all like fucking, oh my God, all kinds of conspiracies, all kinds of fucking blame about Obama and like how everything was his fault. Motherfuckers be like, I can't get a fucking cold beer and it's all because of Obama. You know what I mean? Like some of the most ridiculous shit. And then I'm like, what? Like people would just get so emotional about Obama. And then like it's kind of strange because it's still recent. It's like a fresh wound. But like once Trump got elected, it was like a fucking light switch. You know what I mean? Like, boom, the second he became president, all of a sudden it was like a fucking switch went off and all of that negativity and bullshittery just went poof, and switch sides. Now everybody on the other side is like, motherfucking Trump, everything's his fault. And I'm like, and I watched it and I was like, wow, this is why I am kind of like, fucking, dude, all these people need to be hung. This whole government just needs to be cleaned out, starting over. Because look, this is how divided we've become, and it's like at an extreme end. You know what I mean? And it blows my mind.
Well, I think it's that dumb monkey chimp DNA bullshit where we're always rooting for like our guy. There's always a guy, right? So like if we dumb it down to the situation like Conor McGregor, where that's awesome. If we dumb it down to like the Conor McGregor a Mayweather talk we were having earlier, ultimately, like everybody has a guy. One guy's rooting for one guy wants our guy to win, and if our guy doesn't win, then the guy that didn't win, we're like against him, and it's this dumb monkey shit where we always have to have somebody we're going for or really rooting for. But I do wonder how much of that position is now just a face, like a title holder for somebody to just reference.
I really think that, dude. I really do think that. I've started seeing that. Dude, Bush, when you listen to something, he's just as bad as Trump, dude, as far as public speaking. And
oh, no, yeah, he's one of the worst.
Fucking horrible. But
Trump says dumb shit, but he's also not like saying nuclear. Which, look, I'm not the most eloquent motherfucker on the planet. I know I fuck up tons of times on this podcast, but it's also, I mean, it takes a lot of speeches and a lot of public speaking to get to the presidency. And you think by then he would learn how to say nuclear, but maybe that's just me. Maybe he's nervous. Maybe I should give him the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe. And maybe all this is just kind of part of the plan.
Maybe just kind of, I will say, you and I have talked about like watching people, and sometimes I go take a step back and watch people just dull out in like a drug trance that is news. And if it isn't the news that's capturing people's attention, it's like Kim Kardashian's ass and what she's got going on. And if it isn't that, it's some sort of UFC. I mean, there's always something dulling down people actually critically thinking and contemplating life.
Yeah, I don't watch the news anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally
That's awesome.
how I feel right now in that picture. I'm just like, everybody else is just going with the flow. You know what I mean? And
Continuing
it's just like
the cycle.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I was saying earlier about how like vets are sometimes some of the hardest guys to talk to about this stuff, because, I mean, I got friends, they'll kind of listen to it, but I know I'm never gonna. I don't think I'm ever gonna sway them.
No, you won't. They got to find out their own truth. But also, like you said earlier, if you're putting your life online and they've had friends who've lost their lives for certain things, you don't want to believe something that makes them giving up their lives a waste.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if they have family, if they have a relationship that they essentially died and weren't able to get back to, it makes it harder to bring that home. You know, bring it back into your head.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. And I'm not trying to shit on anybody. I don't know, man. My mom's boyfriend for years, like after 9/11 happened, he was always like fucking trying to tell me this shit, and I was like, "You're nuts, you're nuts." You know, like dude, like why would they do this? Because that's the biggest question: is why? Why would they do this? And then after just listening to enough people say enough things that I really didn't get at the time, you know, scratching my head, I was like, what the fuck is going, like, what? Listening to older dudes that would say something to me, and I just, like, I really wouldn't get it. And just hearing enough of that, and then it was, I think, honestly, what it was, the turning point for me was, I was standing in my grandma's living room on, May 10th, 2011, and they're announcing how they fucking killed Osama bin Laden. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm standing, I just got out of the shower. It's like 9:30 at night. My grandma's like, oh, look what happened. And I'm watching the fucking news. It's like on every channel. And it's like, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We got him. And I'm sitting here wondering, I'm like, what the fuck is, what? I'm like, why would they be going on TV, like, admitting this? Like this is, like, national news all of a sudden. And then they're talking about how these fucking SEALs went on this daring raid. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, you're violating protocol. Like, you're not supposed to do this. You can't admit, like, there's a reason they're called special operations. There's a reason they're dubbed black ops. Yeah, because you can't admit, like, World War I was started for a lot less, bro. You can't send fucking commandos into another country, armed, killing citizens of that country. That's a declaration of war. Like, so by doing these things, that's where they were dubbed special operations, black ops. Like, they're missions that you're not supposed to tell the public about. Hey, we sent these guys that really aren't even supposed to be doing what they're doing.
They aren't even supposed to exist, really?
I mean, yeah, kinda. And, like, we use special fucking, you know, specially designed helicopters.
Yeah, the helicopter, right? that invisible helicopter that we just had.
What the fuck? And I'm sitting there, like, I'm sitting in my towel the whole time. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is going on here? I don't get it. And then, hey, the next day they just dumped this guy's fucking body in the ocean, and no one even thinks that that's suspicious at all. I'm like, oh, because we have sympathy for our brothers and sisters of Islam.
Well, I know recently it came out that some of the guys that were on that mission supposedly
fucking died, bro. A bunch of dudes on that mission died.
Oh, really?
That's
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, dude. A bunch of them died. Like months and months later, they interviewed the guy who was supposed to be.
Yeah, they interviewed the guy.
The guy who pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sitting there, again, like that fucking picture I just showed you. I'm listening to the news. They're back home. Hey, a guy's back home at a diner eating a chicken sandwich. Oh, I'd like to come here and eat my fucking chickens. Like, what does this have to do with this fucking anything? This guy's favorite chicken sandwich spot. And it's like, it's just this giant, like, emotional story of bullshit. There's nothing in this is fucking relevant at all. hey, this guy's name, he grew up in this fucking town in Montana or some shit. This is the diner he ate at as a kid. And it's like,
stretch it out for the hour, right? Is that the idea?
I don't know, but why would the fuck would you even put this guy on TV?
Yeah, that was my thing when I saw it. I'm like, you just did a black op mission. All of Islam hates you.
Well,
all the terrorists hate you, and then you're gonna go on TV.
Well, dude, fuck, man. When I was in the military, they used to tell like all the special ops guys that there was bounties on their heads.
Yeah.
Like the Taliban and people who funded the Taliban put bounties on these guys' heads. That's why when you see pictures of them on TV, their faces are blurred out.
Yeah.
But yet here's this guy on
here's
TV.
This guy just all friendly. Like, hey, what's up?
To me, like this whole thing was just like really fucking weird, dude. Something really weird went on, and like inside of me at the same time, I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Didn't that same guy come out with the book?
No, that was a different guy.
Okay.
He wrote the book under like an alias, Matt Bassinet, I think. Either that's his real name and he wrote it under an alias, or he whatever his real name was, and he wrote it under that alias. But then later, like the news is telling his name.
Here's my chicken sandwich.
No, that was a different guy.
Oh, okay.
He was on the mission though, but
they named it after me.
they came out with a movie though, called Zero Dark 30.
Oh, really? About that mission?
It was about the CIA. Well, most of the movie was about like the CIA's part. Then the other, like the raid part was just about the mission. And it was really eerie how spot on. Like, dude, movies and books are never spot on like that. And when they talked about that raid, because I read the book first, and when they were going over the raid in that movie, like I knew exactly who they were going to kill next and what they were going to do. And I was sitting in the movie theater with my buddy, and I was like, they're going to shoot this guy and say, Uday. And that's exactly what they did. Like, this dude's in a stairwell. They got night fucking vision goggles on. And they're like, Uday. And he, like, because it's pitch black. And they talk about how they redefine tactics with, like, using your night vision. It's not like Hollywood where they're just running gun. Like, they're very slow. They got night vision. We can see you. You can't see us. So there's,
now I want to see this movie.
It's kind of, I mean, there's some...
Just for that last part. Fuck the rest. Fuck the first part of it.
There's some, I guess, some good torture if you want to see some good torture. But
are the military doing this like I guess there are GoPros on these guys where like back at home you could kind of see it like a video game. You're just seeing what these guys are seeing.
Well, there was a bunch of dudes that came out. So EA Sports came out with a game back in 2007 called Medal of Honor Warfighter, or Medal of Honor Special Edition, or Medal of Honor Tier 1. And then they came out with a sequel to that game, which is called Medal of Honor Warfighter. And a bunch of guys in the teams and maybe in special operations outside of the teams, but there were definitely some SEALs that got hemmed up for like leaking.
Jeez.
They basically were making games on real life events that had happened and just kind of changed words and maybe destinations. Yeah, but like it's all the graphics are there. It's all about like operations they went on and stuff.
Jeez.
And it's really interesting. Both of them, because they're very realistic. Like the whole storyline behind them is very realistic. So I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened with that raid, but they were talking about some stuff in that book. And then when I saw the movie, it was like, this is really, really interesting. Like, why are they going into so much detail to tell the American people this? Like, really? Because the American people have no right. I mean, they've dubbed things top secret for a reason. And here they're just going to pour all this information out about tactics that these guys did and helicopters that weren't supposed to exist, except they had to blow one up there because it crashed. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that happened. I was like, something's not right. And that was kind of like a turning point, I think, for me. I was like, I really started seeing things differently. So it was interesting, I guess.
So, I had another question, but I'll ask you that one separate. So, because we're kind of on the topic of like conspiracy theories. So, like, do you think those exist? Do you think there's possibilities? I mean, we've kind of hinted at the fact that there is always some sort of ulterior motive when there isn't, something doesn't always add up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know how I feel about talking about this and putting it on the internet. But
So they're gonna find us, yo.
what's up?
Well,
They're
not
gonna
that.
find us.
No, I'm not worried about anybody. I'm a nobody. You guys are nobodies. You know what I mean? Like, there's documentaries you can go watch. There's all kinds of documentaries that tell you more shit than I could tell you. And so I think for like a couple years, I really got heavily involved into just watching. I'd listen to anything if it, didn't sound like just complete fucking bullshit. I'll entertain it. You know what I mean? As a possibility. Why not? That's where, again, I was thinking back to like all this. Take things with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I remember telling you, like I was sitting in a bar down in Imperial Beach, and I had a guy come up to me and ask me, what team are you at, dude? And I was like, I'm not in the fucking teams, dude. I'm tired of people asking me. He's like, oh, don't worry, man. I'm like, I just got out of buds. I fucking got to go back to the fleet. My life sucks. I'm in here wallowing in my sorrows. In the bottom of a bottle. And he's like, oh, don't worry, man. I'm doing the same thing. I just got out. And I'm like, why? I told you this story. Like, why would you get out, dude? Why would you put in all this fucking blood, sweat, and tears to get your hands into this and be a part of this community and then just get out?
Special ops.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm tired of the bullshit. And so we talked for over an hour, buying drinks for each other, got fucked up, and he kept just kind of saying, I'm tired of the bullshit, and I was like, finally, you need to elaborate a little more. Like, are you tired? Like what bullshit are you talking about? I mean, like, are you talking about like sweeping fucking water in the rain? Like, are you talking about that kind of bullshit? Like, or just military grind bullshit? And he's like, I'm not going to use the guy's name, but he told me that his buddy had a fucking sniper rifle on Bin Laden's head and never got a green light to take him out. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, just threw it out there, and I was like, what? Again, like one of these guys saying something I just did not understand. He's like, so why the fuck are we doing this? What are we doing here? And I'm like, I don't know. And he wasn't the only guy that I met that said something very eerily similar to that. I mean, there's a book about how they almost got him in Tora Bora, but they didn't. They let him, somehow he slipped away. And so, like, you just kind of, that was in 2007 when he fucking told me that. So I was like, what the fuck? And I guess I kind of just swept it under the rug, like, whatever. But when you just keep kind of hearing stories and you keep kind of like, I don't know, if you hear enough stuff about conspiracies, like at some point you're like, fuck it, I'll listen. Let's hear it. Let's hear what all this evidence is. And there's, when you start looking at some stuff again, like how many coincidences can there be before something's not a coincidence? And I don't think that the average person has the intellectual capacity to understand really anything, dude. I think we've created a society of fucking dildos. They're dumb. They dumb as fuck. The school system teaches you enough to do your fucking job, and that's it.
Well, there's also a lot of cogs, right? Like, so if we're talking about some sort of weird conspiracy, it's like you got the government, you got all these other players, you got like other government agencies, you got other interests, and just like the Halliburton thing, there's probably pieces of that where somebody's trying to get financial rewards by doing this and this. I mean, so there's always so many wheels that people aren't aware of that are spinning at the same time.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think there's just like, it's just a giant chess game that most people, how many people even know how to play fucking chess?
Dude, no joke. I just bought a chessboard, and like 4 people I've asked don't even know how to play chess. I'm like, well, fucking, so I'll just play by myself.
I mean, again, I know how to play it. I'm not any good at it.
Right. But at least
I can play it. I know how to play it, but I'm not very good at it. So think about it like this: like if we could barely figure out 36 pieces on a board game, what are you gonna try to do when you're talking a game of chess at a biblical level, dude?
Right,
astronomical level, involving, I mean, a pawn in this real life game, maybe entire cities or entire infrastructures or corporations or anything.
Right.
An entire section of the military may just be that one pawn, if not the entire fucking thing.
Well, then within that pawn, there's like micro
Yeah.
variables
It's
that
a
you're not
chess
talking
game
about.
within
Yeah.
a chess game within a chess game.
Yeah, I get that. So your buddy who was you met at the bar who was done. So in that situation, is that guy like done with the military? Like he did finish with the military? Or did he like go and take another position?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Again, he was just a guy I met. We had an interesting conversation for a few hours. Wouldn't assume, like, he had no reason just to come up to me and fill me with, oh, hey, guess what? I'm this fucking guy that never did any of this shit I'm telling you about. And we didn't really talk about any of that stuff. It's just, we just talked.
One thing I'm often curious about is like what's like and I'm sure it's probably as taboo as sex, but what's like the military's thoughts on like performance enhancing drugs?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Because look, all fair in love and war, right? So if you're having some special ops motherfuckers coming in and cleaning house, you almost want them to be.
There's a lot of dudes that do it, especially while they're on deployment. Now I can't tell you that I know that for certain because I've never been in their fucking platoons or on their teams, but I have had lots of them tell me, oh yeah, dudes are fucking juicing up hard when they're over on deployment. Why? Because they're potentially gonna die.
Well, you also want an advantage, like in any sort of way.
Sure.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you? It's kind of like, there's kind of like this, don't be that guy that does that. But at the same time, I think a lot of that is like, they don't want you doing it while you're going through selection. I don't know. I really don't have any place to answer that question other than, yeah, dudes do it. And why wouldn't they do it? I mean, if I was going to go on deployment and my whole fucking platoon was like, oh yeah, dude, when we get over there, I'm fucking hitting this fucker hard, dude. Because when I kick that fucking door in, I want to kick it in hard. And I want to fucking crush skulls. Like, I'm not going in there.
I like that, crush skulls. But so, allegedly, do you think that the military promotes it at a really high level?
No, they do not promote it because it's kind of like one of those, it's very taboo. I actually wrote a paper on this in college on performance enhancing drugs and why I think that they should be able to be legal for recreational use because I couldn't really get my professor to sign off on it for sports. He's like, that's kind of unfair as an advantage. I'm like, they're all fucking doing it anyway. The only motherfuckers who seem to matter is if it's the Olympics or on baseball. You know what I mean? No one gives a shit. You know, you don't think 400 or 500 pound linebackers are juicing up? You know?
Oh yeah, dude. Like guys are like sick. Like what are they?
If you're bench pressing 800 pounds, dude, come on.
Yeah. You got guys that are like 6-something, nearly 300 pounds, doing like ridiculous speeds on the 100 meters.
If why not? Like it's only frowned upon in certain places. Like poor Lance Armstrong, dude. Like the guy got thrown under the bus because.
I think he was hit hardest, though, primarily because he was almost a douchebag about the way he was so anti-drugs. So when it came back around, it was like a slap in the face.
Well, I think that's why other people, dude, like, can you imagine? I mean, we just watched that fight tonight, bro, and dude's crying after he lost. I mean, can you imagine losing time and then time again?
Yeah.
To this motherfucker. I mean, there's guys that have probably raced him in the Tour de France multiple times.
Well, the reality is, like, all those guys are on something. You can't.
That's exactly. If he's doing them and he's crushing everybody else, you don't think they're doing them just to stay 100 yards behind him? Of course they are.
Yeah. So, but my question is more along the lines of, like, do you think that, I would especially even understand it, like, on a high level, like a SEAL team where these guys need to be as best as they can be at whatever they're doing. So I'm wondering if allegedly you've ever heard of stories where like the government maybe doesn't push them towards it, but it's like, hey, you know,
they're definitely not going to be.
There's some testing too. We're going to be doing in a couple weeks.
I don't really have the answer to that question because I was never in a team, and I wouldn't say that. I mean, maybe there's people in their commands, as far as like that are in charge of them. But I don't necessarily see them saying like, here you guys go. But they may say, you know what? Kind of a turn the other cheek policy when it comes to it. Like they're not going to like, it's one of those, it's not like you're shooting heroin. It's not like you're doing cocaine.
Isn't that a big thing? Like, I heard some recently how there was a big problem with drugs in the military, and one big general guy was like, hey, if I see this shit happen, like, he had a giant press conference with a fuck ton of them, and he was like, hey, if I see this happening, you're out.
Well, that's kind of been the way it is. Like, it was like that when I was in. Like, if you're not supposed to do drugs,
Right.
They random drug test people every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's random. They have some fucking way to do it. So every day, somebody on your boat's getting drug tested.
When you're deployed somewhere, are they like, hey, you're gonna be going to like Afghanistan, you're gonna have to take all these shots?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's kind of what. Again, back to the conspiracy stuff. Like, dude, I won't do no fucking vaccinations no more. Fuck you. You can lick my ass. I was a guinea pig. Dude, it seemed like every fucking couple of weeks, where every 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 12 weeks, I was going on a medical to get a shot. And some of them are like, what the fuck is this? They're like, oh, this is blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, what the fuck is that for? They're like, oh, it doesn't matter. And I'm like,
Ugh.
just constantly getting needles in the arm, dude. I mean, when you're in boot camp, you're walking down. There's a part where, like, you walk in medical where you walk down this aisle, and there's like, you have a person on each side of the hallway, and there's like 4 and 5 people deep. So like 8 people you're walking through, and you step up to one, both of them shove a needle in each arm, or hit you with the air gun, and then you take another step to the next 2 people, and they hit you again in the arm. And I'm like,
You mean an air gun that injects?
yeah.
Oh, that's some Star Trek shit.
It's actually kind of cool.
I remember those in Star Trek.
I'd rather, like, it's just a high pressure aerosol where it just pushes it into your skin.
Interesting.
I'd rather do that, honestly.
So it
than a needle.
doesn't pierce your skin like a needle?
It does, but not like a needle.
Interesting.
It's high pressure that pushes it through your skin.
The pores. Interesting.
It feels kind of like a shot, but it's not a direct needle. Like, you'll have more tenderness in your arm after a needle, because especially if they go in at a wrong angle, they don't hit it right. If they hit a nerve, I've had shots in my shoulders and my ass, dude, where I was like, dude, for like a week, I just got like a knot there, dude, because you're damaging tissue. You're stabbing it.
Yeah, right.
It's nothing healthy about it. And then who knows what the fuck they're pumping in you. And I was always sick. And I think a lot of it was just because I was beating the shit out of my body for the first, pretty much the entire time I was in, dude. I was training at such a high level. I was not sleeping. And you could do it when you're 20, 21, 22. I would train like all night. I'd work all day. I'd get fucking no sleep, and I'd fucking do it all over again. And I would just keep doing that and doing it and doing it. So, but it takes a toll on you. You get to a point where you're like, I'm gonna fucking sleep.
Yeah, no, I'm right there. I'm there now. Age is creeping up slowly. Well, brother, is there anything else you want to tell people? Like any last like thoughts on things, or anything you want to leave people with on your thoughts about the military and your life in the military?
I don't know. Like, it really depends on the question. Like I said, my opinions are irrelevant. No one really cares about what I think. It's just there's ask questions, man. Look around. Look what's going on. Like, I had a friend post some on Facebook, and I've heard this before, but he said that, like, there's a motto by a wise man that said, if you want to be successful or succeed in life, like, watch what the masses are doing and then do the opposite. And I could kind of in a sense, joining the military, like, we've glamorized. Dude, when I went in, it wasn't so fucking glamorized. You know what I mean? Now it's like, that's what kids were doing after high school. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's a completely different feel and mentality. Like, so I don't know, like, to answer your question, do I want to leave people with it? I don't know. I don't really know what I would leave them with, but
I'm just curious. Sometimes people have like a thing that sticks out to them about their experience that they want to relay to somebody who would be in the same position you were, like, back in high school.
I'd tell most kids in high school, I'm be a fucking pussy. Like, quit bitching, dude. Like, quit, like, expecting people to give you shit. Quit expect, like, life isn't fucking fair. And I'm really kind of sick of, like, this whole push towards You know, things need to be fair for everyone. Like, fuck you. Life's not fucking fair. I wish I was 6 feet tall. You know what I mean? But that's not going to happen. I wish I had a 10-inch dick. But that's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I might get lucky and be a millionaire someday, but I'm not going to bank on that. Like, if it happens, it happens. But I don't even know where to start with that one. But life's not fair.
In many respects,
okay.
like, it's almost like you are given certain cars and everything else you got to almost work for, right? Like, if you want something, you got to work towards it.
Sure. But some people have an ability to come up with a plan where other people don't. Like, that's what it is. Come up with a plan of action, right? And knowing what to do. I think I was telling this kid at school when we started talking about your podcast, how, like, I had a friend when I was in Buds. His dad was a Green Beret. His mom was a psychologist. And the second he told me that, I was like, this dude's going to make it. Knew without a shred of a doubt. And this kid asked me, he's like, well, how did you know that? I'm like, beside his mom being a psychologist, just the fact that his dad was a Green Beret, I'm like, I knew he was going to make it. Why? And he's like, well, how did you know that? Like, what made you think that? I'm like, because these programs are designed to not only test you physically, but mentally. Mentally is the key. Mentally is where it's at. Physically, that fucking is irrelevant. So whatever this guy's dad possessed to think about things differently and always kind of find a way out. Like, don't fucking quit. Don't get cornered into a situation you can't get out of. Constantly think about things, you know what I mean? Find a way. Like, he's going to pass it on to his child. He's going to raise him to be that way. Like, unless he's a complete fucking piece of shit that doesn't give a fuck about his child one bit. You know what I mean? Like, but whatever is in there, he's going to pass on to that. Whatever, like, you're a sponge as a child. You soak up, like, what you see your parents do. Like, think about, like, there was a couple cases where there were, like, brothers that were Navy SEALs. You know the fucking statistical probability of that happening? Like, two guys from the same that are brothers, like, become Navy SEALs. Like look at the Mannings, dude. Peyton and Eli Manning. Like, yeah. Look at the probability of that mother's children becoming pro athletes of any type, or fucking astronomical. And the fact that both of them did it and both of them became professional quarterbacks. It's like, you have to start looking at parents and, like, in their household environment and their upbringing.
Like John Jones, right? Like, we just saw him and his two brothers are both NFL fucking studs, and this guy's like the best of the best.
There's something somewhere, like, and this is, if I was a psychologist or a psychiatrist, I would take people like that. I would say, I want to study, like, you and your family. I want to, like, you and your family. Find, like, the Luttrells. You know, like Marcus Luttrell. Mm-hmm. He wrote the book Lone Survivor. Well, his twin brother Morgan was a SEAL too.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, so I would, whatever, like, what is it? Because something, it's like the environment shapes who you are. So I would definitely, like, do some research and find out, like, what it is, because we could make great people out of these examples. Like,
right.
Everybody has an opportunity, but if you were born with some fucked up parents, I mean, but that doesn't say that you won't be, because that might be the motivation that you need to break away and do that. But at the same time, I think it's interesting. Like I said, look at the Mannings. Like you said, look at Jones. Something happened, and they're a circle, they're a close circle.
It's probably a combination of like life stressors and genetics and parenting and values.
Sure.
And I don't know. I mean, they say that some guys, especially like alpha males like that grew up with an alpha males like household, it's like these guys are constantly, iron sharpens iron, right? So these guys are constantly busting each other's asses and continuously getting better because these guys are constantly fucking beating. Like, that's the thing with Jones. Jones has always said his brothers always beat his ass. Like, his brothers are both like 350-pound guys or 320-pound lineman looking dudes. So, and he's like a 230-pound dude. Of course he's getting his ass beat. You know, but some of that is probably what gave him the mental fortitude to not be so effective when he got to get in a cage with another dude who's 230, and he's like, dude, my brothers are double your size. I could beat the shit out of you right now. So there is something to that. There's a weird maybe recipe you can maybe try to create.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. But there's got to, I mean, something in that close circle, like you said. I mean, I just think it's interesting how, I mean, like I said, the statistical probability.
Right.
3 fucking of some lady's kids all becoming pro athletes. 2 of them are NFL players. One's one of the greatest mixed martial arts fighters of all time. I mean, something happened, which was not a bad thing. But like, how do we pass that on to other people? Is if there's one thing I've learned in my life is that like every driver is a good driver. You know what I mean? Every dog owner is a good dog owner. Every mom's a good fucking mom. You can't tell anybody like, hey, like here, you know, mom, here's where you're fucking up. Like they would be like, oh, fuck you. Like I fucking do everything for my kids. Like my stepmom, for example, and she passed away. So I'm not trying to belittle her, but she was very kind of like over affectionate, overprotective of her children. Like, parents enable their kids. My mom was the same way with my grandparents were the same way with my mom. You know what I mean? Like, parents enable them, either good or bad.
Right.
And that's kind of what happened. Like I probably shouldn't talk about my family stuff too personally, but my stepmom, her kids had issues. And I think a lot of that had to do with kind of her enabling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think parenting's hard and nobody has like a handbook on how to do it, right? But I think that it's a difficult thing, and that's when we get back into the original conversation about like people getting drowned out in just the news and stuff. Because if you're going and working like a 8-hour job and you have an hour commute a day, and then you still got to go home and take care of your kids and help them with their homework, and then maybe make dinner, and then at the same time maybe you want to fit in a little fitness in your life, so maybe you go a little workout or something. So at that point, it's like, how much time do you really have to really create and develop a proper human being? And there's no perfect parenting, and there's always going to be difficulties in life that don't allow you to do the right things, and you don't know either. There's not enough time in a day to do everything you're supposed to do, and on top of that, they want you to be up to date on what politics are going on and how to vote for something, and there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, and I think, but that's kind of what goes back to the whole thinking cynical, like. School is essentially fucking state-funded daycare now. It's government-funded indoctrination. Like, you're not raised at home anymore because there's no one to take care of you at home anymore.
Right.
Most people don't have the luxury to have one parent at home the entire time while the other one works. And, like, why? What happened there? Why did that happen? When did that happen? If you start looking at, like, the periodicity of, like, when these changes in America started to happen, it gets kind of interesting. So, like, again, like, thinking cynically just kind of turned everything, and like all of a sudden everything went in a different direction for me, and how I started kind of looking at things. And I've had a lot of people tell me I'm like a pessimist. And I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know if I'm a pessimist. I think I'm more a realist.
Maybe, yeah. Basically, take care of your fucking kids. All right, brother. I think we're getting short on time here.
That's fine.
Plus, Ruben looks like he's about to knock out.
Yeah.
He's
do whatever
crashing.
you want.
Thank you for doing it, man.
Yeah.
I think if people are receptive to this and they hit, you guys know what to do, you listeners, hit the like button, subscribe, whatever, but comment down below. But I mean, if you guys are more receptive to this, we can always do this again. I mean, we can keep fucking talking for another 8 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much have no life, so I'm always free anytime you want to pick my brain on anything.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of good conversations. I learned a lot considering how I'd never joined the military, and I didn't know a lot of this shit.
And I guess we could talk more off of this about it, kind of how we get off subject a lot. But
right.
I mean, if you want to keep asking specific questions, I mean, dude, I could tell you just about the whole like government waste thing. Like, dude, you could probably go for 30 minutes just on some of the stuff that I saw specifically. So there's always more opportunities to kind
talk
of
about it.
get into more detail on specific subjects.
Especially if the viewers are interested in this kind of stuff. You know, you guys know how the fuck to get a hold of me. I got all my contact info below, and like you can hit the like button, and it gives me an idea of what the viewers
Does this
like.
work good for you?
Dude, like I said, originally the reason why I did this is because like I enjoy this type of shit. Like, you know, you can go to work and tell, oh, Steve, how was your weekend? Oh, I just went and watched the fights. And how was yours? Oh,
Just
good.
Bullshit.
Katie took me to stir fry place and it was good. And it's just like at that point you're like, all right, well, how the fuck how well do I know this guy?
You don't.
Or you don't. And so I enjoy getting to these conversations where you actually get to know somebody and also get their perspectives on life. And I don't think we do that enough as a society. And I think we're too busy watching Trump and Hillary and
Football,
Obama and
sports.
Yeah, so that's why I like doing this.
Karate.
And despite whether or not this got views, I would probably even do this if it's tanked and I never did this shit again. I would still try to do this just for the sake of the conversation, if anything. I think there's some people that listen to this that definitely enjoy it and have fun, but I do it just mostly for the conversation. But I'll leave it here. Ladies and gents, you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, you know, tell your peeps and peepettes or whatever the fucking female version of that is. Well, see you guys next week.